Now we're going to go straight to today's perspective, and it's been estimated that Russia is losing around 30,000 troops every single month. In total, well over 1.2 million. And of course, with the war grinding on, it needs to replace them. Well, the use of North Korean soldiers to help fill the gaps has been well documented. But perhaps what is not so clear is the use of African soldiers. Ukraine's foreign ministry estimates that 1,400 soldiers from 36 different African nations are currently fighting in Ukraine. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But first, we're going to play you a report that France 24 ran just last week of anger in Kenya over this very issue. Solange Moujan has this.
Killed in a war thousands of kilometers from home, one that his nation Kenya isn't even fighting. Charles Waithaka was lured by promises of a lucrative job in Russia. He was recruited on false pretenses of working as a mechanic, but instead, upon arrival, he was given a contract written in Russian and sent to the front line in Ukraine. Before dying, he sent a message home.
He said, "As we speak, I'm in combat training. It doesn't look good for me. Pray for me."
The 31-year-old's fate and story are sadly not unique. It's not there could be hundreds like him. For family members of Kenyans who were sent as soldiers by Moscow to the front in Ukraine, there is anger, grief, and pleas for the bodies of their loved ones to be returned home.
We should be ashamed to take somebody in the front line, because that war does not concern us Africans at all. So why take our people?
Amidst what's thought to be over 1 million Russian casualties, Moscow has struggled to continue recruiting its own nationals. Ukraine's foreign ministry said they believe there are more than 1,400 citizens from 36 African nations that have been identified amongst Russian ranks.
We notice a growing number of African people on the front line. However, it's pity to say that they are sent as cannon fodder.
Kenya's foreign minister will go to Moscow next month to demand explanations on why its citizens are being tricked into joining mercenary forces.
Solange Moujan there. Well, let's discuss the issue further then. Joining us now is a member of INPACT and All Eyes on Wagner, Lou Osborn. Thanks very much for joining us on the programme today. I mean, we saw there, didn't we, the problem highlighted in Kenya. You've done research that shows just how big a problem this is, not just in Kenya, but of course in many other African countries as well.
Yes, that's true. So what we found out is that it's a global phenomenon. It affects most of the African country, and we see that some countries pay a higher toll. So Cameroon, Egypt, and also Ghana are the one with most of the people joining the Russian army.
So the research is 1,500 people minimum from 35 different countries. I mean, you can see why it might be 2 or 3, but there are a whole range of countries involved here.
Yes, and what we think is that that list is not exhaustive. So the number of 1,417, we think that it's actually just the minimum, it's the base. We believe that there are much more joining, and they are very, very aggressively recruiting. And it's very easy to stumble upon those job offers, actually.
Yeah, we saw South Africa government saying they've received pleas, in fact, from 17 different citizens that they say, well, they believe are trapped there as mercenaries.
Yes, so in the list that we received, and that is actually the tragedy of what's going on, is we have managed to identify 300, a bit more than 300 people who died on the battlefield. And what is terrible is that families actually have no idea what's happening with them. So either people are trapped and they are trying to escape, but there is no mechanism in place. Either people have died on the battlefield and family are left on their own. There is no mechanism to repatriate bodies. They don't know to whom to turn to get information. They don't know anything. So, I mean, this is not only terrible because of, of the fact that they are used as cannon fodder, but this is also the impact on the families that have no idea what's happening to their loved one.
So tell us then how this recruitment is happening.
So we have identified several networks at different levels. So obviously there is one layer of recruitment, which is directly managed from Russia. And we were even able to speak with the Russian recruiters who told us that actually his travel agency was not real and that it was a front for the Russian security services, the FSB, which was coordinating the main effort. Then we have identified a more national, local level, if you want, with travel agencies and recruitment agencies that are either just, opened and they are only focusing on Russia, or some are well established in the country and from time to time they advertise jobs or sometimes very directly to join the army and facilitate all the visa process for the people. And then we have identified two other categories. One is Russia is relying on, I would say, friend of Russia, so actors who have been very involved in the Russia-Africa cooperation and influencers that are usually quite pro-Russian and are kind of advertising the benefit of living in Russia. And then we saw that some of the human trafficking network seem to be as well quite involved in the recruitment process.
So what kind of people are being duped here into doing this? I mean, obviously you mentioned some of the groups that may be being specifically targeted.
So what we realized is that most of the people who actually want to join, they join on, economic motivation because they are offered incredible high salaries, which are obviously not the reality. So they go because they think that they're going to have a better life, they're going to be able to provide for their family, to send back remittance in their country. So that's the main target. We spoke with some of the fighters. I would say that a very small minority is ideologically motivated, but most of the people are people who want, better living conditions. And we identify people who are really what we could call unskilled, so they don't have a specific education. But we saw as well that people with a very good education, medicine, people working in the oil and gas industry, people who are actually even already studying in Russia in quite good university are also kind of caught with that recruitment process.
What about individual governments? I mean, are these individual cases here, or do you think that some governments are deliberately turning a blind eye because they have other reasons why they need to, or they feel they want to get on with the Russians?
So we have noticed that actually the response from government has been very shy so far. Kenya has been really the one kind of moving everything to at least show that they are trying to do something. South Africa as well, obviously, but others are very shy. I mean, we've not proved it in our report, but that could indicate either a will to try to manage the relationship with Russia, or also that could indicate the fact that some of the officials may benefit from that situation. Now, on the topic of government trying to manage the relationship with Russia, I think in that case they are very legitimate to ask questions and even to put process in place at least to be able to answer families' questions about what happened to their people.
Yeah, we heard in that report Kenya's foreign minister saying he will go to Russia next month, and this is obviously one of the major issues that he's going to be bringing up, for example.
Yes, and we see that right now government are doing something, at least Kenya is doing that, which we believe is really good, is they are going after recruitment networks. And we believe that this is where they can actually make a difference. It's really to dismantle those networks, because we call that report the business of despair, because around sending as scan and fodder, we saw a full kind of commercial ecosystem blossoming. And we believe that this is where government can really take action, dismantle those networks, forbid the programs that send people to study in Russia, or forbid any employment quota that allow agencies to advertise for jobs in Russia. We believe that this is where action can be really efficient.
And just finally, I mean, do you see an end to this? I mean, for a start, obviously, you've done your research and it's getting publicity. Governments are starting to react. South Africa and Kenya, we've highlighted particularly. I mean, do you think it will come to an end, partly because the authorities are clamping down, but also because a lot more people are starting to hear about it too?
So we think that people getting more and more aware and also taking matter into their own hands. We believe that this is something that's going to be, much more efficient and less people could be lured. Now, Russia is playing on a very, very powerful lever, which is opportunity abroad. And today, when you look at what opportunities are left for people in Africa who wants to get out of their country, the reality is there is not too many. So as long as Russia will play on that lever, there will be people willing to risk everything to go. Now, hopefully, with our work and the work of our other journalist colleague, media, and NGO that starts to take the matter into their own hands, hopefully that will limit the number of people willing to risk it all.
Lou Osborn, good to talk to you on the programme today. Thanks very much for being with us. Lou Osborn joining us there from INPACT and All Eyes on Wagner.